Something happens in the morning show finale that most people missed. A pattern running through every storyline that completely reframes how the ending works. I didn't catch it the first time, but once I did, the whole finale hit different. And if you stay with me, you're gonna walk away seeing these characters and their choices in a completely new way. Because there's 5 layers in this finale that all lead to the same truth. And we're gonna break those down. I've relied on media my whole life. So I break down the feelings and the hidden meanings inside TV and movies. So you walk away not just entertained, but understood. Welcome to The Real Spot. I'm Bobby Foster. Let's dive in. Alex has been stuck all season, trapped by UBN and Celine. The season started off with her being sabotaged, which we found out in the finale was due to Celine, which I was actually happy about because I called that in a previous video. But she was also trapped by the lack of her father's love, always trying to impress him and earn his love, not knowing it was an impossible feat because he resented her for making her mom leave him, even though it was obviously not her fault. For Alex, freedom wasn't something that was going to come easily because what was trapping her was also her passion, her love for journalism, her love for being in the spotlight, her love for her work. Freedom was letting go of the career she built her entire identity around. And although Celine had already forced her out of the company, the decision to go up against Celine meant she was risking everything. Her future career, her image, everything. She was willing to risk it all to get Bradley back from Belarus. Luckily, Cory stepped in and helped save the day at the end so that she ended up not having to sacrifice those things, but her willingness to let it all go is what set her free. And you may resonate with this too. I know I do. I recently decided to start over my YouTube channel. I had a different one that had 30,000 subs, but I started over because I just felt trapped in the niche I was in. And I knew that starting a new channel meant completely starting over, maybe losing all of my income, but it was something I had to do to free myself. And here we are. I did have to start over from zero, but it was the best decision I ever made. So I feel you, Alex. So she sacrificed her job and her reward is that she was free. And similar patterns happen everywhere in this episode because Cory getting his freedom wasn't any easier. Cory has been drowning all season, not because of his job, but because he's been chained to grief. At the start of the season, it was the grief over starting over after losing the CEO job at UBA. Then it transitioned into even more grief when he realized that Bradley played him. And then the grief escalated even more when his mom killed herself. His journey this season was like one traumatic event after the next. But his freedom wasn't about breaking free from anything in the physical world. It came from finally breaking the cycle that kept him stuck emotionally. But in breaking his grief, he had to let go of the past. He had to let himself feel something new. But doing that also meant giving up the idea that he had about his mom, how he saw her, how he wanted to remember her. And so in order to get his freedom, he had to make this difficult choice of choosing to defame his mom and also ruin his reputation even more, which is a full circle moment because at the beginning of the season, he was really hoping to restore his image after what happened with him and Bradley. But he was willing to let all that go in order to do the right thing at the end. Cory's one to always keep up a facade. Even at the end with his mom, when they're at the house, and she's telling him about ending her life, and he was just sitting there entertaining her to the end, hiding his pain and just putting on this mask. And that's been his character since the beginning. Him making this choice at the end was the first time we really saw Cory somber, unfiltered, where he was no longer pretending to have that facade. And now we'll have to see how he moves forward. And where Cory was stuck internally, there was another character that was literally trapped externally. By the way, if you enjoy talking about the morning show but feel like you have no one to talk about it with, go ahead and join the Real Spot Discord. We love talking about shows and would love to have you a part of those conversations. Bradley wanted out from this trap more than anyone. In Belarus, she was literally getting tortured, and even through all of that, she kept her journalistic practice intact by not giving up her source. And even at the beginning of the season, she's been trapped by the authorities. It was just the FBI. And her fear throughout the season was messing up and getting put into jail by the FBI, but she ended up in an even worse prison in Belarus by trying to uncover this story of Wolf River. So her chasing the truth and trying to do the right thing ended up having her be incarcerated and tortured overseas. But this kind of snowballed into her having a different type of freedom because Bradley was also trapped by the guilt she held on to when it came to what she and her brother did on January 6th. It hung over her head constantly. It cost her her job. It cost her her freedom because the FBI was always lingering over her head waiting for her to make one wrong move. She was essentially just under constant surveillance. So she literally had to sacrifice her freedom in order to get it back. She put everything on the line, ended up in jail, ended up getting tortured, but now I'm sure the FBI will finally leave her alone when she gets home. So to get free, Bradley had to let the truth burn down everything in order for her to get a new life to start growing. And there's been a lot of stories in the morning show about characters having to sell their soul to get what they want, but someone finally broke that curse. Mia has been waiting for her chance, fighting for it, earning it, getting passed up over opportunities she should have. But what she wanted wasn't really just a promotion. It was freedom through power and leadership. As a Black person, there's a freedom in actually having power. That system and feeling of discrimination and oppression and the actual effects of that make you feel and make you powerless, makes you feel like there's a ceiling that you just can never get past. And Mia was tired of having her life getting written for her, and she wanted to take control of her own story. So she decided to make the sacrifice earlier in the season to quit UBN, the place where she put in all of her time and all of her effort in hopes of actually being put in a leadership position. She gave all that up in hopes that she'd be able to find that somewhere else. But by the finale, she finds herself back at UBN and potentially the person who's about to be the CEO of the company. But the powerful thing here is that her rise to power didn't mean she had to sacrifice her soul to get it, just like Stella had to, and just like Stella warned her not to do. So now she could be the CEO of UBN without that feeling of being trapped due to going against her own morals to get there. So now in the finale, she finally has this freedom to lead, and she didn't even need to sacrifice herself in the process, just the facade she had up that she used to appease other people. So Mia's story is truly the best happy ending here. She got to find herself and she got what she wanted, being herself. I mean, what's better than that? And while Mia had her rise to power, luckily someone else that was ruining everyone else's lives had their fall from power. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe so more videos like this will show up on your feed. Celine wasn't just a villain this season. She was a systemic virus that infected everything around her and put everyone in a cage. Her hands were around everything, throat choking the life out of the company and the people that worked there, using her wealth and her power to just put everybody down. She controlled Bradley's fate, Cory's career, Alex's deep fake scandal, Mia's promotion, and Stella's job, and other things too. She built the prison for everybody in hopes of being able to control everything around her in order to use the media to help out her family. She got her hands dirty and she was not able to walk away clean. But here's the truth. Celine was only doing to other people what was happening to her. She was in a cage herself, created from her father and her family's ambitions, expectations, and crimes. And Celine herself just wanted her freedom, but she was trying to gain that freedom by taking away everyone else's. But in a weird way, she also received freedom at the end too, because in reality, she was trapped by UBN. It was just by her own doing. It was a cage of her own making because she wanted to run the company to control the narrative around her family. When everything about her and her family came to light at the end, it set her free too. She no longer had to worry about hiding everything, no longer had to worry about all the manipulation and control that she was trying to have at UBN. It's just a great thing Celine lost her control over at UBN because it didn't just set her free, it set everyone free. Sometimes freedom demands a sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice is the person holding the keys. When you look at the finale as a whole, something clicks. Every character finally gets free because something they valued had to be destroyed first. Alex sacrificed her career. Cory sacrificed his and his family's image. Bradley sacrificed everything. Mia sacrificed her job at first and her facade. And Celine sacrificed her morals to try and protect her family and ended up losing everything. But now everyone can breathe after that. Freedom is not given in this show, it's paid for. And the finale shows the cost of all that. If you caught something in this finale that added to this theme, drop it in the comments. I'm Bobby Foster. Take care of yourself and keep letting media make your life a little lighter.